and welcome to... Wow, that was my voice is really shitty there. Let's try that again. Hello and welcome to episode 58 of Life in General. My name is Mandy.
Yeah?
What are you doing? My name's Nick.
I'm Ian, I think. I could be wrong now. I'm not sure.
Mandy was over there mouthing my intro there.
Because it's the same every time.
It has been for the last 57 episodes.
57 episodes.
57.
Right. It's like a warm, comfortable blanket.
You got to do an intro.
It's a warm, comfortable blanket.
You can't just start out and be like, "Hey, what's going on?"
You could be like, next time I'm like, "Hey, I'm Nick."
Be like, "Yo, bitches."
Or that.
Why not?
Why not?
Okay. Well, as always, you can email us any questions or comments to contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Facebook. On Twitter, we are at LIGpod. We're on Podbean, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, all that stuff. Check us out on our website, which is lifeandgeneralpodcast.com.
Glad you got it right finally, Nick.
Why is my voice all fucked up? Give me 1 second here.
I don't know. Told you not to suck so much dick before you start the show.
Too much pizza.
Wah, wah, wah.
No, yeah, that.
Mandy's all, too much pizza. And I'm like, you suck too much dick.
Could be later.
So I have a little funny story to tell.
Do you?
So our last episode, which was episode 57,
Yes.
which we all talked about how we all kind of met, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. After we record an episode, I save it on my computer, and then I also save it on a external drive.
Yeah.
Just in case something happens.
We've had some scares in the past, yeah.
Yeah, we've had some issues in the past. So I didn't do that the last time.
With 57, you mean?
With episode 57.
I thought this was 57.
This is 58.
This is 58. So
I know we
so
were arguing about it. It's okay. The confusion's understandable.
Yeah, go back to the intro. He said, "Welcome to episode 57."
No, I didn't. I said 58.
I'm going to laugh if he totally said 57.
He said 57 because I said 58.
And now that we've talked about it for so long, he can't change
I
it.
know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So last episode, I went ahead through, edited everything, got it all put together. I stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, getting it all put out. I posted the episode and everything, and then the next day I got up early and I went to the gym, and I'm sitting in the parking lot in the gym, and I'm like, oh, I should probably play the episode while I'm waiting, because I got to the gym and I was waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for, but I was just sitting in the parking lot for a couple minutes. So I hit play, and it was like every 2 or 3 minutes there was 10 seconds of audio missing out of the whole thing, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't save this damn thing. So I came home after the gym and pulled up on the computer, and the file was corrupted. But the good thing, I don't know why, so I pulled it up on my laptop, and it said the file was corrupted. But this is the nice thing about Macs is when you save it, it shows up everywhere. So the weird thing was I came downstairs on my desktop, pulled it up, converted the audio, and it was just fine. It was really kind of strange. But there for a while, for 2 hours, I thought we weren't going to have
lose that episode.
I thought it was going to be the lost episode. But
It still could be, because this is 57 and it's supposed to be 58.
this is 58. I said episode 58.
I wasn't listening
I
to you.
swear to God.
No,
when you
no.
go back.
It was.
We-
I did say
It's
58.
possible because we were arguing about it before we started the show, so...
He said, "Welcome to episode 50," and I said 8, and he said 7 at the same time.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
No.
We'll see.
Computer said no.
You stole that
see.
from me.
Did I?
Yeah. Unless you got it from where I got it from.
Where'd you get it from?
Little Britain?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, see, you got it from me then.
No, it was a soundbite I heard from somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you've been doing the soundbite. The story
yeah.
behind that is there's this bitchy woman, and she's
Wait,
traveling.
what is this again?
Little Britain. It's
Is it-
sketch comedy,
Oh, okay.
and she's selling travel. She's like a travel agent. They're like, yeah, I want to get this trip to go. So do that, and she's like, so she just types on her computer. She goes, computer says no.
I don't even remember where I heard that. I don't think it was real.
Yeah, well, it might have been a soundbite because it's a pretty popular show
Yeah.
amongst most people.
Most people?
Well,
I'm not most people.
people who like British comedy, I guess, for sure.
Mandy, are you most people?
I did used to watch a lot of that and the Spanish channel growing up.
What, British comedy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
It's fun.
Spanish, you know what, you'd watch it and you didn't know what they were saying, but you just.
Whenever I think of the Spanish channel, I just think of Bumblebee guy.
Oh yeah,
Man.
from The Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Oh, no.
And,
Yeah, I
and
used
the
to-
women were always wearing those like really like high jeans and really tight
It was-
shirts.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I used to
That's
watch
why I watched it.
it. Univision.
Yeah.
Just watch Univision.
I couldn't get past it. If I don't understand what they're saying, I can't watch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you never watched?
Well,
Like
I took Spanish in high school, so I understood like every like other word. But
So you never saw like a Britney Spears like music video and just muted it?
that was
it's the same
different.
thing.
That's spank material. Don't
Oh,
need sound for
Jesus.
that.
God. Well,
Hey, I'm talking like when she first came out. That I'm not
Yeah,
into
she was
like
like 15.
one more time.
yeah, that song.
she was like 15,
No, well, I was only like
27.
No.
I wasn't 27. I was like
No.
I was like 20 or 21.
I would say I'm like 1 year or 2 years older than her.
Really? Mm-hmm. God, she's old. Just joking, because you're younger than me, Mandy. Mm-hmm. No, she's. I don't know. How old is? I thought she was in her like mid 30s.
She was born in 81.
Oh, was she?
So she's 37, almost 38.
Yeah. She looks a lot worse than that, though.
No, she doesn't. She looks
No?
pretty good considering. I mean, she's not as hot as
Yeah,
she was when
I
she
mean,
was
her-
18, but
Obviously, nobody's going to be.
Maybe I just seen bad pictures of
there's
her.
bad
then.
pictures
sure.
of her.
Maybe
out
that's
there,
what it
but
is,
she
then.
doesn't
And your
look that bad.
lifestyle. I mean, if they.
She
you can't
she
look,
was rough on herself.
Have you
for a
seen me
while.
without makeup and like you know what I look like on a daily basis
You
when
look
I do
fine.
not have to get ready.
No, Mandy, you look fine without makeup. What?
I'm not.
No, I'm being
I
serious.
haven't seen you without makeup in a long time, so I don't know.
It's not pretty.
Is that,
Yes, it is.
well,
It is.
How do you think I look without makeup? I mean, I'm pretty
mean-
shitty before with makeup.
You know what?
What?
I look like you without makeup.
Oh, geez.
Do you really?
Yeah. Because we have no eyebrows, we have no eyelashes. We
Well, I have
green
eyebrows that are
eyes.
just really blonde.
Yeah,
you can't see them.
you can't see mine either.
Yeah.
So I look like you, minus the mustache and the beard.
I was gonna say, does the
Yeah.
makeup cover the beard?
You don't want the beard.
I got a little
I
bit
don't-
chubbier cheeks too. So.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, geez. You're not supposed to say yeah, Ian.
Well, we're completely built different.
Yeah. For one, I'm a guy. You're a girl.
No.
That's
no.
the
She said I got chubby cheeks, and you're like, yeah.
Well,
We're built different.
yeah.
Well, I understand that.
I got chubby
I don't-
everything
I don't
else.
take
All
it
right. How's that?
seriously.
Yeah, it's funny.
My toes are chubby.
when,
for fuck's sake.
when Ian came downstairs before we started recording, I was playing Fat Man by Jethro Tull, and I didn't mean to play it. It wasn't.
It
wasn't
is
intentional.
my it's my theme song.
He came downstairs. He's like, "It's my theme song."
It is. It's totally me.
You know how much I love Jethro Tull?
Yeah, maybe he's Jethro Tull.
Well,
Don't say that in case he's listening.
He's been dead for several hundred years.
He's not dead.
Jethro
Ian
Tull?
Anderson?
the band is Jethro Tull.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, Ian Anderson is not listening to this.
Jethro Tull was a person.
If Ian Anderson is listening to this, get a fucking new album out. Come on, please.
Before
I
he
know
died.
you're 71 years old and you've already recorded it, so just put it out. So just.
And
put it
I'm
out.
sorry for anything I said.
Ian says it to all the men, though. Just put it out. I guess
Don't give away my secrets.
I guess let's pull it out. But
Yeah, I guess.
What are we doing here tonight?
oh my god! So there was something else I wanted to talk about. So, last couple of days, Ian and I have been talking back and forth about doing something different with the show. So, starting in 2 weeks, I think we're going to try doing a weekly show instead of a bi-weekly show. Just to have more content out there. I don't know. It seems kind of like the better thing to do.
Sure. Everyone else I know I listen to does weekly, so
Everyone else is doing it.
come on, be like the cool kids.
The cool kids.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's a couple shows I listen to. There's one show that I listen to. They put up daily episodes.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and that's
Unless
like,
people want to start
we-
paying us.
I was going to say, we also work.
Oh yeah, and they don't. They make enough money off their show that
Is this that show from the guy from the HBO show?
I don't know what you're
From the
talking about.
Sopranos guy? Or no?
Oh, Jerry Ferrara. No, he hasn't been. He got married and his wife's pregnant, so they haven't done a show in like 8 months or 10 months or something.
Because I mean, as you know, if the wife is pregnant, you can't do anything else in the fucking world.
Well, no. So he's actually been on. He's been doing Power, They just season 6 of Power is getting ready to come out. Andy's got another series that he's been doing. So
I don't know if this is the same guy I'm talking about.
Jerry Ferrara, yeah, I used to listen to his podcast all the time. Bad for Business.
Cute little short chubby guy with black
Turtle.
hair?
He's not chubby.
Oh.
He hasn't been chubby in a long time.
Whatever.
Yeah, you got a wife knocked up, so he couldn't be that chubby anymore.
But
he got his wife
whoa.
knocked up.
Wait, who? Me?
Yeah, your wife is chubby.
No, I'm talking about guys. Chubby guys don't knock up girls.
But that's not true.
Yeah, they may knock up like ugly girls.
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
Nick was chubby and I was hot.
That's true. But Nick wasn't
there you
that
go.
chubby. He wasn't like Ian chubby. He wasn't Fat Man chubby.
I was like chiseled chubby.
You were not chiseled.
That's why I said chubby.
Anyway,
I
I just wanted to know if it was Turtle. That's all I was
Oh
asking.
yeah. Oh no, there's another podcast I listen to. Yeah, it's a soccer podcast. But yeah, they do daily episodes, and they're
Gotcha.
all an hour long. Well, for the most part. But,
If we didn't have
I could-
jobs, we could totally do it.
Absolutely, every day I'll be here.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to like pay us enough money to stay home, we can do this every day.
Yeah, I mean that's
Every day.
It's a lot though.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
They'd have to pay us a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh,
Yeah.
pay us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we'd have to
Maybe
make
he was lost for a second.
cumulatively.
What do you mean it's a lot? I could sit here for an
Think
hour.
about
all
what
day.
the three of us make combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to make that every
Yeah.
year. You know?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money.
Well, Ian can take a pay cut.
When Nick
Am I
could take a
sleeping in
pay
your
raise.
basement? Am I sleeping in your basement?
Ian, if we were doing daily podcasts, you would have to sleep in my fucking basement because you can never show up on time.
That's probably
Ian, so every day we record, I'm like, hey, Mandy will text me, hey, what time's Ian coming over?
I don't
so,
know.
So I'm like, I don't know. So I'll text Ian, and I'll be like, hey, what time are you coming over? And he'll be like, oh, I'm coming over at 5-ish is what I'll say.
See, I'm not lying.
So then I text back and say, so like 7:30 or 8.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, it's like 7. Ian's 5-ish
Today,
is 7.
no, today I got the text and I said I'm jumping in the shower now. I didn't give any time frame.
Uh-huh.
Then he said an ETA. I said I don't know. I'm leaving. No, I got to stop and get coffee and gas, and then I'll text you when I'm on my way. And that's exactly what
So,
I did.
okay,
I gave
so,
no,
okay,
there
now-
was no
now-
vagary
now
to
let's
it.
put
He did a good job today.
Let's put a little timestamp to it. Okay, so Ian texted me at one point, and I don't remember what time it was,
It's like 4:45.
and said
I
that,
texted you that.
and he said, I'm hopping in the shower.
Yeah,
And then an hour later, he's like, oh, I'm getting ready to leave,
yeah.
but I have to stop and get gas.
Yeah,
and then it was like an hour after that, he's like, I'm leaving,
No, he was.
or on my way.
It wasn't quite that time.
Yeah, he was here pretty early. I was shocked because I was like, "Oh my God, the pizza's here. Ian's here. It's good timing."
I can always check the time frame on my phone, but
whatever.
it wasn't quite that. It was an hour from like the shower to like, yeah. But that
It just, like I said, my whole point was, if we did a daily show, you would have to sleep right there on my couch.
yeah, I could
Or,
do that.
You know, if we just set a time, he'll know he has to go home.
No,
go to
because
sleep.
Ian told me he doesn't do timelines on his days off.
Yes, but if
But
it's
it
my
won't be
job,
a day off. That's a job.
it's my job. I'm always on time for work.
Exactly. He
I'm
has
always
to be
early
here.
for work.
But he can't show up with notes.
He can if it's his job.
Okay, right as it stands now, I work 40 hours a week. If we're doing an hour show every day, that's 7 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
I think I can find the extra 33 hours in the week to write up some fucking notes.
But you only work 40 hours a week, and you can't come up with notes.
Because this is free time.
I'm having fun.
Nick.
I don't want to make it too work-ish.
Well, no, the funny thing is Ian did notes for tonight. They're
And
at
I
home-
left him at home.
They're at home on his table.
Guess what? I did no notes for tonight.
Well, you're a special guest.
Yeah.
I'm not special anymore.
On a very special episode of Life in General.
Show us on the doll where Nick touched you.
Wait, what?
On a special episode, it's always
Oh.
it's always that. There's always something dark and sinister about the
Oh.
special episodes.
Okay, well, that
Remember
was
that, like Facts of Life. The special episode is when Natalie was attacked coming home from that party, and
No, I don't remember that.
I mean, she wasn't. She was just attacked. It
Oh.
didn't imply any like. You remember, right?
the facts of life.
Do you remember that episode though? Oh my God! Am I the only one who watched that show?
No, I
No,
watched
I
that
watched
show,
it.
but
I
I
don't
don't
remember
remember
that
the
episode.
scary stuff.
Wasn't there like a special episode of Webster too where someone was like molested?
No, that was no. It was different strokes.
Oh, is that what it was?
And I know it was molested, but it was Dudley was almost molested
Almost molested.
by the guy who owned the
Didn't
bike
they
shop.
always like
Oh,
start
okay.
off the show like, "This is a special episode"?
Not back then.
No,
They just kind of
no,
went right.
no.
Nowadays they will. They'll say
No.
this episode contains content that
I
might
thought
be
they did that
inappropriate
back
for
They
young
would
viewers.
have. They did, Mandy. They would do. It wouldn't be like before the episode started. They would do it like on commercials during the week. You know, next week on a very special episode of.
Oh, see,
Right.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Do you
That's how
remember
they-
the after-school specials?
No.
Yeah. I not really
I
because
mean,
I didn't really
remember them
watch.
existing, but I don't remember.
I think I only watched the one. I'm a teenage alcoholic. That was the only one I
guess
ever
I don't
watched.
remember them either. I just remember like the after-school, like
Right.
that was like the theme song, and then there was like a whatever.
Yeah, the only one I remember was I was a teenage alcoholic.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
So, which I was like 6 when I saw it, so it
Oh,
didn't make
good.
much sense to
So
me.
you were a teenage alcoholic?
No, I've never been an
Sean
alcoholic.
thinks he is.
Why does Sean think he is?
Because that's his favorite thing to say. Drink.
I'm drunk.
I'm drunk.
He's
Drinking.
he's 9.
I'm drinking.
He's 9 years old.
Well, and his view of alcoholism is Barney from The Simpsons.
yeah, that's true. He does watch a lot of Simpsons.
For him, that's the epitome of an alcoholic.
Way too much Simpsons.
Yeah, he watches a lot of Simpsons.
Yeah.
Then again, so did I.
Yeah.
And I turned out just fine.
Crickets.
Touche.
This is where my soundboard would come in handy,
Yeah.
which I wasn't allowed to use.
Well, it's just like I said. When you start throwing in the sound effects and stuff, we're 2 steps away from being Dingo and the Baby.
What the fuck is that?
You've never seen that episode of Family Guy?
No.
Brian and Stewie get a radio show, and Brian wants it to be all like intellectual, like NPR, but they turned it into like just a morning like insult thing, like the morning shows, or
Oh, yeah?
just like fart noises and stuff.
Oh.
And that's it. Dingo and the Baby, and it's just a bunch of sound effects, and then they jump to commercial.
That's great.
Sounds right up Nick's alley.
Yeah, exactly. A dingo ate my baby. So yeah, we're gonna go to weekly episodes. So that'll be kind of interesting. We'll do it for a little while, see how it goes.
Yeah, why not?
I've also been working on maybe a new logo for the show. So I don't know.
I've seen the work in progress.
You've seen the work in progress. I don't think Mandy likes it.
It's different. I like
different.
the one that you showed me, but the one that you like, I think the most was kind of creepy for me. But
Oh,
That's
it
me.
wasn't like a little guy. It wasn't a guy in like a trench coat or nothing peeking through your window.
nobody had like a creepy beard and stuff.
We all have.
We have
creepy
we have creepy beards.
I mean, you guys have shaved beards and taken care of beards.
Really? I haven't taken care of my beard in ages. I don't even know if there's shit living in it.
If you haven't, and that's as far as it's gotten,
Well, yeah, true. I grow facial hair just at a very slow rate.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Patchy McGee.
it's not patchy, but it just grows slow, and it's very soft. It doesn't. I can't use an electric shaver.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You guys have anything else to say before we start talking about our topic?
No, not that the whole world knows I have soft facial hair. I'm good.
Somebody at work did tell me that they were like, Ian's really nice. I just want to pet him.
That was Elena.
I thought it was really kind of funny.
he looks pettable. I would pet him. That would be awkward for me though, because we're
Yeah.
a little too close.
Yeah. Pet me and then just put me outside.
No,
Get out. Go poop outside. Anyway, I think we do have a topic.
We do have a topic. I'm trying to remember what I was trying to look back real quick and see what episode. Oh, so episode 38. So it was actually 20 episodes ago.
Wow, that's kind of ironic.
Yeah, didn't mean to be that way. But so episode 38, we talked about creepy unsolved mysteries, and so we were. I think we enjoyed talking. It was one of my favorite episodes
Yeah,
last year.
I like those kind of things, yeah.
So I was thinking, trying to think along those same kind of lines. I came up with all these crazy stories you see off of, or you hear about off
Craigslist.
of Craigslist.
Yeah.
So I figured we'd talk about some creepy Craigslist stories. I know Ian's done a lot of research on this.
I've done some. I left all my research at home, though.
You got anything off the top of your head?
The first one that I can remember off the top of my head. I went more scary because I figured Nick would go more like...
Real quick to interrupt you, Ian. Actually, I remember how we got on this topic. You told me about one of these crazy stories one night, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be a really good idea for a
Yeah.
show."
And I didn't write down. I don't think I wrote that one down, but not that I'd remember anyway. But one was this guy's house was broken into and his shit was stolen, Xbox and his games and all that. So after a few months, he was like, "I really want to get an Xbox again," but he didn't want to spend full price. He wanted to get another one, that pay the full price. So he went on Craigslist
Uh-huh.
and found one with a bunch of games and everything for like really cheap. And now when I was going through this, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to find out this is the guy who stole all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
No. So he contacts the guy. They arrange to go to his house, and he goes, and it's like an hour away. So he goes, and it's like middle of nowhere. And I'm sorry, me personally, I
Turn around, go home.
turn around, go home. Especially white people in the middle of nowhere, this never turns out well. But anyway, so he goes, he knocks on the door. This guy opens up the door, and he's got garbage in his yard. It's, guy's all dirty looking, but he goes in anyway.
Of course.
So, house is a mess, as you would imagine. It's, the guy's like, it's down the basement. And
Nope.
now he's already mentioned like 3 times about this weird smell in the house that he can't say. It smells like rot, but he can't really identify it.
Oh.
The guy opens up the basement door, and the smell really hits him hard. And
That's when he gets pushed
the
to the
guy
back.
and the guy's like kind of standing behind him, according
Exactly.
and he goes, after you, to the guy who owns the house. The guy's like, no, after you. At that point, he just pushes away and runs out. Like weeks later, he sees that guy in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he tried to kidnap somebody the same way, and all that smell was dead dogs in the basement.
Ew.
And the guy attacked this other person with a knife. So what I think is this was like serial killer in training, and this would have been his first victim.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, because he had been like cutting up dogs and shit, and just leaving him in his basement.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
I don't know how people could live with that smell.
right.
Like, they're not normal to begin with, so.
Right. I mean, but that's how serial killers start. They start on animals and then they work their way up to humans. So
I read a story about a lady who had, so she was looking to, I think she was just looking for like some side money. So
I
she,
got some side money for you, bitch.
I'm rich, bitch.
Right.
But so she answers this ad about a lady needing a babysitter in Craigslist. So she goes over to the house, and I guess she thought it was the father of the kid. Opens the door, is like, oh yeah, come on upstairs, and she goes upstairs, and there was no family. He was just wanting to kill somebody, so he ends up like shooting her in the back and burying her body in the woods somewhere, I think.
Huh.
But he, I guess, obviously you're going to get caught doing that because they know who the last person was that that you contacted.
Yeah, I don't understand how people on Craigslist, the crazy ones, I guess because they're crazy, but they have to know that there's a trail
You would
for
think.
some of these crazy ass things.
Oh, of course.
Some of the crazy ads that I've come across is this one guy was selling 10 years worth of nail clippings.
That's disgusting.
I thought it was
Did you snort,
hilarious.
Mandy?
I thought that was hilarious. I'm like,
So gross.
who sits there and goes, man, I got 10 years worth of nail clippings. What am I going to do with these? I guess I'll just have to sell them.
Or why do you have 10
Well,
years,
I mean,
10 years worth?
There's levels you have to go through to get through that kind of
I
crazy.
guess so.
But the first level is, why are you selling them? That would be my first thought. Then it's like, then why are you collecting them? Were you collecting them just to sell them? Maybe. I don't know. That was one of the funnier ones that I came across.
I saw this one. Actually, I got it up here. It says I bought a Keurig on Craigslist.
Oh, I got that one too.
Do you know this one, Andy?
No.
Says I used it for a couple of days and started noticing coffee grounds in my cup. I ignored it. The next day, I saw a cockroach in my kitchen. And I found out it was coming from the Keurig. I took a flashlight, looked in the inside, and it was infested with a nest of cockroaches. It hadn't been coffee grounds in my cup. That's fucking awesome.
That's not. Oh, that's gross.
Oh, that's great. I did read another one where this lady's she kept getting all these crazy messages about gerbils, right? And her brother had used a fake email and set up a Craigslist ad under her name, saying that she had fighting gerbils for sale.
That's funny. I thought about doing that, like just creating
Really?
a weird, not gerbils or anything, but just like kind of trolling some of the weirder Craigslist stuff.
I don't know. I'd be too
I wouldn't
afraid.
go. I wouldn't like. It would be fake. My information would be completely fake, and I wouldn't like go to these people. But I would just to really try to get a grasp of some of the insanity that's out there.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
I read another story about a lady who She was selling a juicer, I think is what it was.
That's my next one.
Are we on the same?
We must be on the same page.
Well, go ahead.
I didn't came with.
Go ahead and tell
I
that
didn't
one
read
then.
it. I didn't read it all. So what you read it. You read faster than I do.
So
Cut that out.
What? So yeah, I'm sorry. So this lady bought a juicer on Craigslist, and she drops it off at the guy's house, and the next day she sees a desk for sale on Craigslist. She's like, "Oh, this would really work good for me." I'm not reading it verbatim here, Ian.
I know.
Going off the top of my head, just in case you're like, "Oh, that's not what it says."
No, I wasn't even reading. I was going down to the next one.
Oh, okay. So she's like, "Oh, that'd be really nice." So she contacts the guy about the table, and come to find out, it's the same guy that she sold the juicer to the day before. So she goes, yeah, it was kind of weird. So she goes and checks out the table, and it's not like a table. It's not at all what's in the picture. It's like a bunch of like cobbled together pieces that he'd like put together. So she's like, "No, I think I'm good." And he's like, "Well, hey, since you're here, you want to just hang out?" And she's like, "No, I'm good." So she leaves, and then the next day she sees another ad on Craigslist for I think it's tires for the exact same year, make, and model of her car.
Oh.
And what she realized was this guy was taking clues from her, figuring out she must have said something about a table. So he's like putting things on Craigslist
Trying
To
to
make
get
her-
her.
to lure her. Yeah.
Huh. It's kind of clever.
That's creepy.
I mean, when the dating scene fails, what else do you got?
I guess so. Yeah, she said it was she decided to change her number and everything. I think.
Yeah.
And she also said that she swapped out the batteries in her stun gun. Just in case.
You should probably do that regularly. I mean, if you're gonna have a stun gun,
If you're gonna have it, you might as well make
Wait,
sure.
no,
it's
well, you
working.
need to get one of those canes that has the shocker at the end of it. So
Yeah.
you can shock people with your cane. Like Ian's dad.
Yeah. He shows that off to
I
everybody.
know he's got. I thought it was kind of cool. It's a taser.
1,000,000 volts.
Yeah, it's not 1,000,000 volts.
That's what he said.
No, that'll kill somebody.
I'm just going by what he says. He says 1 second it'll stun you, 2 seconds it'll knock you out. I don't know who's going to be like 1, 2. That thing's super fucking loud too.
Yeah, it was really loud when he turned on. What else you got there, Ian?
I don't know.
So that's we're reading the same website.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Here, I'll try a different one.
Okay.
Well, what about the one you told me that?
Oh, it was a pregnant woman. She was on Craigslist and she was looking for like
baby clothes,
used
yeah.
baby clothes, and so she came across this woman who had said she had a bunch of baby clothes that she was just kind of willing to give away. So they made an arrangement to go like the next day or whatever. She's going to go to her house and pick them up. Got her address. Next day she woke up, she wasn't feeling good, so she asked her husband to go. And he's like, "Oh, all right." Well, he took his friend or his brother, I don't know, somebody, and they went. And they get there, and there's this weird guy sitting again out in the middle of nowhere.
Of course.
And there's a weird guy sitting on the porch. And they get out. They're like, "Yeah, we're here for the baby clothes." And he's like, "Oh, okay, come on in." Comes in, like messy house again, always a messy house. And they're looking around, and they look in this one room, and there's like a bunch of men, old men, just sitting there staring at them. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go," and they leave, and these guys chase them out. Yeah, like chase after them. They run into the woods. They don't even go to their car. The
That's
guys
stupid,
ransacked
number
the
one.
car because the guy was a truck and he had like construction equipment in it. They took all that out. They ransacked the car, and the whole time these guys are just laughing at him. But if this woman had gone by herself,
What? Yeah.
I mean, what do you think
Oh,
they were all
she
there
had been
for?
raped and murdered. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Cut up
Why
in
did they run
pieces.
back to their car?
But didn't so
There was no way they're going to make it to the car and get in before they were stopped by like 10
Gotcha.
people. So
So
they just ran into the woods.
when Ian told me the story, he also said that they got back to the truck and they took off down the road. And then didn't you say their car stalled or something like that? And they come to find out the people had tampered with their with their truck.
Yeah. They ended up having to walk, but they managed to get that far enough down the road where they were at least away from the house. But yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That was one of the more terrifying ones. I'm thinking a pregnant woman.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
they had to have been looking for a pregnant woman.
Oh yeah,
You know, to
Well,
be advertising baby clothes.
yeah. Or just thinking someone would buy them for their niece or nephew or something
maybe.
like that. I read one. It was this guy. I don't remember. It was early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, something like that. But he was looking for a roommate. So this guy answers the ad, moves in, and he's like, right away the guy's acting weird, right? And like wouldn't interact with him at all. Would spend. He said most of the time he didn't even know he's there until he'd be out like watching TV or whatever, and he'd just see this guy like come out of his bedroom. never turned any lights on or nothing, was just like hid away. This went on for like months and months. And then finally, one day he knew that his roommate was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So he like breaks into his room and he's like just going to pack up all of his stuff to move him out, right? Just like get all of his shit out and like he's gone. So he gets in there and he's like, there's this envelope. He finds this envelope and he looks inside and it's all of his. So when he like cuts up credit cards, puts them in the trash, his new roommate had been going in the trash and collecting all that stuff. And he had like notebooks that had like all of his relatives' names in there, like dates that his parents were married, all this like really super creepy information he found in there. And he ended up like just Googling the guy and come to find out he had used a different name, but he found him online. And he was like #1 most wanted in the state. Yeah. And come to find out at this point that he was gone because he had been picked up. So he was in police custody already.
Well, that's cool,
yeah.
at least, because you wouldn't want to come home.
And that's what he was like.
How do you just, like, pick somebody to live with? Like,
well, and that's what he's like, he's like, I remember reading in the story that he's like, this could have ended up really different.
Right.
I'm assuming he was probably going to, like, kill him and steal his identity.
That's what you imagine with all that information, because you have to know all the...
He said it was, like, super creepy stuff that the guy had on him.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, that's how people got roommates. They put ads in the paper,
Yeah.
you know? Looking for a roommate, no non-smoker.
yeah, but now you know better.
And there's a lot of roommate stories on.
Yeah.
If you're looking
Hell,
for crazy.
if you go back and watch Friends, that's how Joey showed up.
I didn't know that.
Because remember the roommate before Joey?
No.
Yeah, there was a roommate before Joey. It's not in the show. I mean, it was like alluded to. It was talking about.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't remember.
There wasn't a Joey before Joey.
There was a roommate after Joey. There was a couple of roommates, but
they talked about the one roommate before
Yeah.
Joey.
I got you.
And they showed that there was like a little flashback where Joey showed up at the apartment and was like, "Yeah, I see there's a room for rent," and that's how they met. So it does work out in the fictional world of Friends.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick to go back. The story I told you about the guy that murdered the lady looking to babysit.
Uh-huh.
So he shot her and then took her cell phone, wrapped it in a blood-soaked towel, and threw it in the trash. But the idiot didn't realize that his name was written in black marker on the. I just read it real quick. It was written on the towel that he threw away. That's how he got caught.
Not only that, I was like, why would you throw... I mean, unless he was smart enough to turn the cell
So
phone
he
off.
smashed the phone.
Oh, he did.
He smashed it. Yeah, so in 2009, he was sentenced to life in prison.
Oh, cool. I came across one that I just can't believe it, because it's like, I was telling you, it's so supernatural as to be like Clive Barker-ish. I'll tell you now, I guess, because you're staring at me like, okay.
Okay.
I thought maybe you go, tell us about it, Ian.
Oh, tell us about it, Ian.
This guy was out of work, and he was just, kind of desperate, and he comes across this Craigslist ad for work. So he goes to this house, and he's driving into, again, it's kind of it's not out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a very small little town that he drives into. And seems like there's just a lot of old people around. In fact, when he pulls into the town, he says there's this really old guy just standing on the street just waving at him. Kind of creepy, too.
I've actually seen that before.
What, old people waving?
Yeah, there was one so when you were living with your, I think it was before we moved in together, Mandy, or it might have been when we were living on the Mart's house. I was, that road kind of had when you're coming from Whitaker, has like a curve. Mm-hmm. It was kind of foggy out one night, and I came around that curve, and there was a guy, I swear to God, standing on the shoulder of the road, and he was just waving. It was like the creepiest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Huh. He may have just needed a ride, and he died in the ditch, but okay.
Okay, he died in the ditch, because I wasn't fucking pulling over.
Anyway, so he goes to this house, and he knocks on the door. Old man answers the door, lets him in. House has a musty smell, but he figures it's just old people.
Yeah.
And he's like, have a seat. Let me go get my wife. We'll talk about everything. So he goes upstairs, and he hears him kind of stumbling on the stairs. He's like, are you okay? But by the time he got there, the guy had already gone around the corner. So he sits back down, and then the guy comes down with his wife, and and I should point out that the house is very dark, he said, because there weren't lights on. The shades were all pulled and stuff. And he reaches out his hand to shake her hand, and she looks at her husband before she takes his hand. He says it just felt weird. So he asks if he can use the bathroom. And so he goes in. She says, yeah, it's right here. So he goes to the bathroom, and he walks in, and the bathroom really smells. Like, terrible smell. So he pulls up the toilet seat, and cockroaches fall out of the toilet and everything. He's like, okay. He's like, I feel like I want to leave, but I don't want to be rude.
I'd be gone.
Yeah. So he does this thing. He goes out, and she's like standing in the hallway, staring at the bathroom door when he walks out. She's like, is everything okay? He goes, yeah, I think you might have a roach problem though. She goes, I'll make you some tea. Doesn't even acknowledge the roaches. So she goes in the kitchen, and now, me personally, if your bathroom's like that, I don't think I'll be drinking out of any of your dishes. But anyway,
or drinking anything in your house,
right? So
or
he goes
consuming anything in your house.
Now at this point, the husband's disappeared. He's nowhere in sight. So he goes into the kitchen, sits down, and she's ruffling through the kitchen and stuff, and she kicks the light on. And she's got bugs all over her, like in her hair. They're all over the place.
Oh, shut up.
See, this is why I'm like, this is wait. So she's not paying any attention. So at this point, he freaks out and goes to leave. The old man's standing there in front of the door. And then the wife comes up behind him, and they're both just standing there in front of him. So he pushes his way through. There's no handle on the door. So then he runs upstairs. Now, as he's running upstairs, he's sliding on the stairs, like I said. I'm assuming it's dead bugs. Like guts and stuff. Gets upstairs and goes just into the first room, and there's a bed and a nightstand, and the guy shows up behind him and says, "This is the room is yours."
And closes the door
and opens his mouth, and he says that this cockroach comes out of his mouth.
Oh, shut up!
That's why I'm like, this is some Clive Barker shit right here.
Shut up!
So
I watched this movie last weekend.
I was like, and then that's something I was like, I think I've seen this movie before. Or I read this in a story or something, but this was one of the stories I came across as a Craigslist story. So he manages to push his way out, goes back to the bathroom because there was a window without bars on that window. Climbs out the window, gets to his car, and leaves. And as he's leaving, that same old man. Now, I should point out, when he leaves, all these old people are just standing in the street staring at the house.
Oh, shut up!
I know. I
don't buy that one.
So he leaves. He calls the cops. They go, the whole town's been abandoned. The whole little area has been abandoned. And like recently, because there's still TVs and shit on, according to him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it would be.
It was just super,
cool
supernatural because, first of all, no one knows. No one's going to be standing there calmly as a cockroach is like crawling out of their throat.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless they're like a demon or something, and that's
right.
what I'm like. It's like I said, it was total Clive Barker, Stephen King kind of shit.
Especially like turn the lights on and she's like covered in roaches.
Yeah,
I mean, come on,
and like not notice it, But
there are people that don't know things about themselves, though.
Okay.
Eventually,
I
I think
probably
we figured
stuff.
out,
Yeah.
You don't know if you smell. You don't know if you got lice in your hair.
Oh yeah. I know.
Like,
I know some stinky people. I've worked with some stinky people before.
And they don't know.
There was one guy in Tennessee. We called him Stinky Pete.
Stinky Pete.
He smelled like a fistful of assholes.
Don't tell too much.
Fistful. How many assholes are in a fistful?
Oh, well, fine. How about this one? He smelled like Bigfoot's taint.
Hi, when was the last time you smelled
I was gonna say,
Bigfoot's taint?
Why were you close enough to smell Bigfoot's taint? What were you doing down there, Nick?
Or just what I would imagine it would smell like. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that I could imagine what a taint smells like, period.
Well, if it's unkempt, it could probably smell pretty raunchy.
A butthole I can understand, but
Yeah,
you're going for the taint, man.
Think about this. Okay, you got... If you're clean, you've got your balls, you got your taint, then you got your asshole. If you're clean, that's okay. But say you're not clean, you got some sweaty balls and some sweaty ass, and that's right in between.
It might be the only clean part you have left.
I would imagine that's like a where it all pools.
It's a swamp.
Where it all pools together and becomes something much worse than ass and ball sweat.
It becomes crotch.
Taint. It becomes taint sweat.
No, crotch swamp. Swamp crotch.
Yeah, crotch. Yeah, something like that.
Sure,
taint
okay.
is not a word that we should know.
So I found one that was kind of funny, and I think I told this to you before, Ian. This because this was on a Reddit post, but it says some coworkers and I were in a lull at work, so they're browsing Craigslist personalized. Why can't I fucking talk?
I don't know.
So they're going through. I won't look at the screen. I'll just tell it to the top of my head. So they're on Craigslist looking at personal ads, and they came across one that said middle-aged woman advertising services out of the back of her furnished van, and listed a phone number. Well, apparently they recognized the phone number, and after a little bit, they figured out that it was their boss. It was advertising services out of her van.
Interesting.
I'm thinking I need to get on Craigslist more often.
Well, apparently it's full of prostitutes too, because
I would imagine.
I did see one that was It was a story. This lady, she was advertising. She was a prostitute, but she was advertising services on Craigslist. So this guy hits her up, and they decided on a place to meet up. I guess for $80. I don't know if she was going to perform for $80, but it was a $80 fee that they had agreed to. Mm-hmm. So they're getting his van or his car, whatever it is, and apparently there's an argument at some point, and he wants his money back. Well, she says no, so he proceeds to choke her to death.
As you would.
Yeah, I'm assuming you would. And then he buries her body in a shallow grave. And the investigation, of course, leads back to him because it was the last person
on
that,
Craigslist.
that
Yeah,
contacted
again,
him.
there's a
and then
fucking trail.
come to find out, he's like this serial choker that's like choked all these people.
Wow. So this wasn't his first time.
No,
this wasn't his first rodeo.
No, it wasn't.
Huh. Lots of crazy people. Okay, now let's cover. I don't know anything about the Craigslist murders, but it's a real thing. So do you guys know about it?
Well, I don't know about the one you were going to talk about, but there was. Do you remember?
Well, no, just the big one, the one that
Philip Markoff.
the one they made a movie about and everything.
Okay, no, go ahead. I'll tell that one, and I'll tell my story afterwards.
Because I don't know it.
I don't know either.
Well, you brought it up, so
I'll bring it up because I wanted you to tell me about it.
He was an American medical student who was charged with armed robbery and murder of Julissa Brisman in a Boston hotel in 2009.
Okay.
And 2 other armed robberies. He maintained his innocence of all charges and pleaded not guilty at his arraignment. But apparently he died in 2010.
So this seems almost tame because there was another one that I read and I didn't know how true it was because figured we would have heard about it. But this guy bought a car. Well, was a kid, really. He's like 17 years old. Bought a car on Craigslist, and he went. Everything seemed okay. Went and got the car. The guy seemed a little weird, but nothing major. And apparently, the guy followed him home, and got out of his car with an axe and was going to like. So he called the cops, and the cops showed up and caught him with the axe, like he was going to do something. And come to find out, he murdered like 27 people.
Oh, nice.
And I think you would have heard about that because 27 is a high number for most serial killers.
Yeah, especially nowadays. Nowadays, we really don't have serial killers anymore. They all get caught.
If you look, I've actually looked this up, and I hope it doesn't come back to me for looking it up because I was just curious. But I typed in active serial killers U.S. And apparently there's at least 45 that the FBI is aware of.
Really?
Yes. That's high. That's a high number.
Yeah, but how recent have they been?
Well, that was
active?
last year when I looked that up.
I know, but
doesn't. Active means that they're uncaught. I would assume that they're aware of these serial killings.
But when I say 45 of them, but 39 of them could have been from the 80s or 70s. You know.
Well, I mean, serial implies that it's at a serialized interval, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's every day or every year or every month, whatever. Hey, you're right, but still, if they're not caught, they're active, and then I mean, theoretically, how many serial killers that every day just die off from old age? You know, that we'd never even heard about.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, I think we've even mentioned it. It seems to me like this is the time when it should be almost impossible for serial killers to get away with anything.
I would assume so.
With GPS and cameras everywhere.
We should just put chips in everyone.
Yeah, no. No, I'm not for that.
I know you aren't.
So, I'm okay with them tracking my phone because I can turn it off. I'm okay with them watching my internet browser history because I don't have anything to hide.
What about tracking somebody that has like a history?
Well, maybe if you're gonna if they're arrested and convicted of a felony, maybe it depends on what kind of felony. Then they've given up that freedom. They've given up the freedom to not be chipped. Mm-hmm. But I think it's dangerous if you start chipping all of everybody.
So I got one that's kind of recent within the last couple of years. It's from 2015. I don't remember if you remember the story of Michelle Wilkins. Ring a bell at all?
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
So she was.
You might want to hear the story itself.
So this is back in March of 2015. She was 34 weeks pregnant. And do you remember this, Mandy?
I think so.
Okay. Just the way you looked at me. Mm-hmm. So she was looking for some cheap baby clothes. Responds to this ad on Craigslist, and she goes to this lady's house. And she said, though, they sat down and talked for like over an hour. Nice conversation, really nice lady, had a really good rapport. So the lady was like, so oh, okay. So she was going to leave. She's like, okay, let me get the clothes and I'll get out of here. And she's like, oh, well, the clothes are down in the basement. So she goes down the basement, and as she's like standing there, the lady who posted the ad smashes a lamp over the back of her head, right, and like knocks her onto this bed.
I think I heard this one too, actually, now that you mention it.
And I don't remember if she stabbed her or what, but she was like, she comes to, and this lady's on top of her, and I don't remember if she was. Oh, she took a piece of glass and cut the lady's neck, because that's what it was, and then she's like dying, laying there, and she like gasped, "I love you" to this lady, just like out of desperation, and she says, "If you love me, you'll let me do this." She takes a knife out and cuts her stomach open and steals her baby. So she's like dying on this bed. This lady takes off, and she's able to get her phone and call 911. So police show up. They actually end up saving her life. They get her to the hospital. They save her, but the lady is actually down the hall with the dead baby. Said that she had delivered a stillborn child. But at some point, the baby had died, and she took it to the hospital. But she ended up getting caught. She's actually, as of the date of this article I was reading, she was facing 48 years in prison. I don't know if she was convicted.
Was
yet
this
or
woman
not.
older?
Probably not. She's probably in her
It
30s.
doesn't-
Probably the
it
same
doesn't
age
say.
And
as
they said
the
this was
woman.
2015.
It was March of 2015.
Because there's a movie, it was a French movie called Inside. It wasn't the name, that was a translation. And it's this woman is pregnant, her and her husband are in a car accident. Her husband dies. And she's due to give birth this months later. And she's still all depressed about her husband being. And that's where the movie starts, is it's the day before she's at her doctor's. They're like, okay, we're going to probably have to induce or whatever the story is. So she goes home. And this woman, you see her kind of following her at the hospital, and then you see her outside her house. Woman tries to break in, and she keeps calling the cops. Cops show up, nothing's there. They keep missing her. Woman finally gets in and attacks her. Tries to get. You don't know what she's attacking her for. She's attacking her, and I'd say a good half of the movie is just them fighting. You know, her hiding, the woman getting in. It's very horror movie-ish. They're both beaten to shit. The woman finally tries to get out of the house, and this woman, who's like burned at this point, she set her on fire and everything, grabs her, cuts the baby out, kills her. And the last scene is the cops walking in, and she's sitting there rocking this dead baby.
Yeah.
You know, because that was her whole point. She wanted the baby. Because you find out kind of through supposition that this woman had lost a baby, and it was she just snapped. But that was a French film, and that was from like 2007. So
Maybe that's where she got the idea.
Maybe. But I mean, like I said, it's a French film. They actually were going to adapt it to an American film, but I don't think that anything ever came from that, just because it's pretty rough.
Pretty rough, or
yeah. But
there was now the one you said that she had murdered 27 people.
it was a guy who apparently murdered 27.
Oh, it was a
people.
guy that done it. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because there was one I read. It was a girl that she said she was 13 the first time she murdered somebody. She was part of like a satanic cult in Alaska. What's that beeping?
That was part of my tablet.
Oh, so she was part of some satanic cult, I guess, in Alaska. She was addicted to heroin, a bunch of other issues and stuff. So she was 13.
That's so sad.
So she ends up being court ordered to go live with her uncle in North Carolina, I guess. So I don't know what was going on with her parents or whatever. But so she goes in to North Carolina, lives with her uncle. Her life turns around. She's normal. By the time she's like 18 or 19, she meets this guy. And I don't remember if they got married or not. But he was into like all this kind of dark stuff too. So they get this idea that they want to murder somebody. So they put in a Craigslist ad. I don't remember what the ad was for. But this guy shows up and they take him and murder him. And they dumped his body in an alley behind a car wash somewhere. So they, of course, get caught like everyone else is. But after she's caught, she confessed to killing 22 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you hear about that one in Germany? I don't think it was Craigslist, but it was an online personal kind of thing.
No.
This guy put out a personal ad looking for someone who would be willing to let him eat them.
Ew.
Really?
And the guy answered and signed all the paperwork, and he ate them.
Are you serious?
And then the police arrested him, and he's like, "How can you arrest me? The guy consented." There was a whole big trial in Germany about it.
Why would you consent to letting somebody eat you?
Why would you want to eat somebody? I mean, it's a whole lot of crazy
That's
going on there.
There's a lot of crazy. But it's really kind of weird when you look over the all these different. If you look on Reddit, there's like a bunch of Reddit posts about this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like baby clothes and roommates don't get either one of them
Right.
from
I'm
Craigslist.
thinking anything because, like I said, the two that I remember offhand that I had written down were Xbox and a car.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
You know,
so I guess
and a job. And no, the other one was the job.
Well, yeah, because I remember one. I don't remember all the exact details to it, but this guy responds to an ad on Craigslist. I guess the ad said that there had been over 1,000 people, I guess, that applied for this job, and it was supposed to be a decent paying job. And he goes for the interview and gets the job. So the guy's like, "Okay, here, just hop in my car, and I'll go show you." It was like I don't remember if it was a farm job or something, but I'll show you around. So he gets in the back seat, and then it's his new boss is in the passenger seat, and then his new boss's nephew, I think, is the one that was driving. So they're driving like out in the middle of the woods, basically, and they're like, "Oh, his new boss tells him, yeah, I left some machines back here. We just gotta go back here and pick them up real quick." He's like, "Okay." He's like into it. "Okay, cool." So they pull up, and they're like, "Okay, well, this is where it is." So he gets out, all kind of eager to help his new boss, and they're just kind of like walking in the woods. And then he said they kind of got mixed around or mixed up, and that's when he realized that his new boss and his nephew were behind him.
Uh-huh.
And that's when he said he heard the cock of a gun. And they shot him. They shot him in his arm, I think, and he was able to take off running as his boss was shooting at him.
Uh-huh.
And he hid out in the woods until later, when he thought they were gone, and was able to find his way to some rural house out in the middle of nowhere. Knocks on the door, finally convinces the people to
Let him in.
They call the police, and they arrest the guy. And I guess there was I don't remember the exact number, but it was over 10 people that they had actually murdered and buried in the woods.
See, I don't understand that. I don't. Where's the motive for that?
It's just crazy.
No, that's not the answer. There's something going on there. There's a motive. There's a reason why people do the things they do the way they do them, and that doesn't make any sense. It's so random. There has to be a reason why they were doing it that way. Why shoot them? Why bury them in the woods? Why two of them? And two people generally never have the same motivation. Combined motivations.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Different motivations.
I can't find the exact story, but yeah, I don't remember.
Well, it wouldn't be in that story, but I'm just thinking from
No.
the
I was just thinking if there was
perspective.
anything else that said in there, but
From the psychological point of view, it's just I don't understand the randomness of that because there's got to be some motivation to it.
Sometimes there isn't. I feel like people are just sick and they see things and then they're like, "Yeah, let's just
But
go
those
do
are-
it."
but
Like,
a
those
lot
are the
of
people that
times-
are best up
Right.
that don't have that filter. That they don't have the filter to say, "What's the motivation behind this?" They're just
But those are the people who do things like
crazy
like mass shootings and things like that. People who when you have to plan it out, there has to be a drive when it's planned out like that. There's thought put into the process.
They could have just saw something on TV. They could have heard
Yeah.
something. I mean,
it could be anything.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm
no.
thinking. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a
Right.
mass murderer, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
I'm not a murderer, period. So
that's good.
yeah,
That's good to know.
Mhm.
So
If only all of us could say that.
I've stabbed a couple people, and no one's died.
You know? Well, I assume that if I'm friends with you long enough, eventually you might kill me.
Or try.
Or try, yeah, at the very least.
only when you're sleeping,
Only when you're sleeping, huh?
like when you roll over and punch people in your sleep.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm never sleeping that close to him, so it's okay.
Don't ever do it.
Yeah, there was one time, I don't know what was going on. I was just dreaming about something, but I woke up, and Mandy's terrified because I guess I punched her in my sleep.
Wow.
I felt really bad about it.
He was like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "Don't touch me. Don't come near me." He's like, "I'm really sorry." I'm like, "I know you are, but right now."
So real quick, I got one last story.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And it's from Edgewood, Washington. It doesn't say year on here. But this guy had a diamond ring that he was selling just for some quick money.
Uh-huh.
And he was selling it for $1,000 on Craigslist. which I don't know if that's ever a good idea to sell jewelry on Craigslist like that. But
Because you're worried about the kind of people you
the kind of people you're going to attract.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't buy anything on Craigslist unless I met them in a public area. Anyway.
So they're selling this ring for $1,000. And this lady responds to the ad. Her and her husband show up to their house. They want to check out the ring before they buy it. So the couple comes in the house. He pulls out the ring to show them. And I guess at that point, the guy pulls out a gun to rob him.
Uh-huh.
So they tie him up. And then at some point, 2 other armed people come through the door. So there's now 4 people in there robbing them. One of the people that come in through the second group that came in, I guess the couple that were selling the ring had a younger son, but the kid did something, so he like hits the one kid with his gun, like pistol whips him. So the dad gets all pissed off about it and kind of like breaks free from the rope and lunges at the one guy, so he gets shot, dies in his wife's arm, in her arms. The guy, they take the ring and they take off. And they pulled over a couple days later, and that's how it kind of led to them being arrested. But they ended up being sentenced for between 79 and 123 years in prison for it.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know why they do that. Why don't they just say life? You're going to die here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be like, you're getting 10 consecutive life terms? Well, you only get 1 life, so
Right.
just tell me I'm going to die. I'm going to rot in prison. That's what they should do.
It's just kind of, I don't know. I just don't understand it. You know you're going to get caught.
Right.
They don't
They
think
can
like
they
that.
can trace you. They know who responded to the damn ad.
Right. Well, unless it's a fake address. I mean, people, you can go to any,
I guess.
When you're crazy, you're crazy.
Do they
You
still have
don't
internet
think like
cafes
that.
where you can log on to computers anonymously and stuff? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, yeah, I guess they can
you
probably
go to the
track you through
library.
there,
People
you
do
know?
it through the library.
That's
I
true.
imagine, so.
That's true. Wasn't there a murder in Michigan a couple years back? Wasn't she was pregnant or something like that? And I think they met that guy through Craigslist and ended up being
That's the one I thought you were talking about earlier when they
No.
put her in the trunk.
yeah. And then they found her husband's head somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They were meeting up for a three-way.
Threesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really pregnant. But yeah,
Yep.
he killed both of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I think she was in the trunk, or maybe his head was in the trunk. I don't remember, but it was pretty gruesome.
Speaking of murder, I was at the gym yesterday, I think it was.
You murder somebody?
And I saw, huh?
You murder somebody?
No. So they had the news on, and I'm not trying to make light of murder or anything else like that. But I guess this girl was missing, and they found her body in a suitcase.
Uh-huh.
And the all it said on the screen was that the police suspected murder, and I'm thinking to myself, she's in a fucking suitcase.
Yeah, she didn't jump in there and die on her own.
It was suicide.
You don't.
There's
yeah.
easier ways to commit suicide
Jeez,
for
oh,
sure.
please.
I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Well, it's all that weird.
his head was missing. We suspect murder.
Right. It's just like when they catch the guy with the knife. He's got the bloody fucking knife in his hand. He's literally stabbing somebody, and they still have to say alleged murderer.
Well, that's
You know?
that's a legal thing.
Well, it
though.
might have been the same thing.
It was the same thing.
Suspected murder.
They had a 4-year-old that was missing or something, and then they finally found him, and he was murdered. He was buried in a backpack, buried in the ground in a backpack. 3 years old, I think he was, and they said it was a suspected homicide.
Was this Casey Anthony?
No, could have
'Cause
been.
that was another one.
Yeah, no. I'm like, really suspected?
Right. Well,
Okie Pretty sure
they-
it's. I mean, I know you have to use your words, but like, come on, no.
right.
They could say things. It would have been better if they would have said foul play was suspected, I guess. But
Right.
of course, it's murder.
You found a murdered child
She
in
was-
a backpack.
She was
It's
dead,
So sad.
dead in a suitcase.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to make light of it, but you're right. It's, I don't know. I don't know where all that, I just don't understand where all that comes from. I mean, I get it. There's times where you meet people and they're so, they irritate you so bad, you're like, I just want to punch you. I get that.
I see.
But I don't
I meet
understand
people every day like that.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Right. But I don't understand this idea. Like, you see someone walking down the street and you're just like, I would love to cut them up into little pieces.
Yeah.
That thought, I don't understand how that thought crosses people's minds.
They're really pretty. I wonder what they taste like.
Right. I mean, it's
Don't say ew. I mean,
it's like, yeah, but it's the horror movie tropes. at least with horror movies, you get some idea of whether it's a motivation or it's just demonic possession or whatever. But in the real world, where demons don't exist, where does that come from? I can't even understand it on an evolutionary level, because at no point in our primal evolution would that have been a thing. It's only now we've evolved to that level. What's missing? What did we sacrifice?
I think that's a much longer conversation
Yeah.
that we're not going to solve tonight.
Okay. I gave it a shot.
Well, I gave it the old college try.
I did. So anyway,
I don't know. Anything else you guys want to add? I mean,
no, I'm sure there's millions more. I had others I written down. I just can't fucking remember.
So maybe next time we'll do an episode like this, and he can actually bring his notes, and we can actually talk about more about it.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, blame me.
Right?
It's all my fault, Nick.
Don't I always blame you?
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much. Well, thanks for being on another show with us, Mandy.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had so much to contribute
You did.
You did.
before the show started.
Oh yeah, we had a pretty comical conversation before I started recording. But I started recording.
You're
about 15
pretty
minutes
much
earlier.
now. You're the honorary third member of the show.
Woot woot.
I think you've been on the show now more than
Any other guest?
yeah, more than anyone else.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
I mean, you only live like right upstairs. So,
I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean, no reason you can't be on the show. We've been trying to get you on the show ever since we started.
I
Yeah.
know.
it took like 40, 45 episodes or something to get into that show. We were only doing it for like 2 years before she'd actually.
I have much more fun when we talk about like scary movies and we play games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if we can have you on for politics because you just don't like that
No,
stuff.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hey,
Which we're not going to do very often anyway. but-
Mandy did watch the first half of the State of the Union, though.
Yeah. Well, I know she
crooked
posted.
ass tie.
As I say, I saw the post about the tie clip.
That lost me. I went to bed after that.
His tie, it wasn't just like slightly off; it was like way off.
And like his people, like whatever that assistant president guy's name is,
Vice
like,
president, the vice president,
him, and then that other woman that pretended to be in white, like was up there, and
Pelosi.
neither of them said your tie's crooked. I would've
Well,
been like,
Pelosi would
not going to.
Yeah,
She'd
she-
be like, "You're a dumbass."
Right. She would say, "Right, look at his tie."
Yeah,
She wouldn't say it to him because
Gotcha.
she hates him.
yeah,
Gotcha.
So.
with good reason, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think much of her either. So
Yeah,
if I had to choose between the two, I'd take Nancy Pelosi. But still, I don't think much of her either. But
yeah.
Jokey.
Okay.
Just like seriously, you walk past all these people and they're all like,
nobody
says
anything. Well, see,
shake
that's-
your
and-
hand,
And he
Mr.
spent
President.
like 5 minutes or more, like walking
Walking
down,
past.
shaking everyone's hand. At some point, they've been like, "Hey, fix your fucking tie, dummy," which is what I said on Twitter.
I was like, Nick, do you see this?
I just tweeted out all I said was "nice tie, dummy."
yeah.
All right.
It's not the first time he's been unkempt in public though.
Oh, I know.
There's several times where his tie's off and his jacket looks too big. It's like
I don't-
you're a millionaire. You can afford to have your shit tailored.
I don't know if you remember this or not, but I think it was like early in his first term. There was like this whole big scandal about President Obama not wearing a jacket in the Oval Office.
Uh-huh.
And like it was this like shitstorm. It was all over the news. Every channel was talking about him not having a coat on in the White House. And they were like, "Oh, you know,
His sleeves are always rolled up
yeah,
too.
you would never see Ronald Reagan with a coat off. You'd never see any." I'm like, really? Is that all you got? I mean, just because he doesn't.
For some
wearing a
reason,
coat?
I swear I've seen pictures of W with his shirt, his sleeves rolled up, and
Never in the Oval Office.
Really?
According to what I was.
it's a fucking room. It's not like it's some
I know
holy
that.
temple
I
or
know that.
something.
I know.
I mean, seriously, these people really need to get off of this whole America the Great. We're a fucking country. You define the United States by what? Fucking lines on a map.
It's not like
It's not anything special.
It's not like he's wearing like magic pajamas.
Right.
All right, so,
well, that would have been President Mitt Romney.
Any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@lifeandjournalpodcast.com. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook. What Mandy?
It's not magic pajamas. It's magic underwear.
Whatever.
Yes.
Follow us on Podbean and iTunes, and check out our website. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right. Computer says no.
Computer says no.
Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace. Mandy.
Peace.
Peace out.
Playing my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you two cobras, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, the niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bruh. We taking the dub, hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon.